Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network, a division of the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network. The following program broadcast is an original creation by the broadcast entity. Discussion within the following broadcast should be used for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultation. Before considering application of any broadcast content in the following program, please consult your healthcare provider. If you feel you are having a medical emergency, please contact your local health services for immediate assistance. MS&Me Media and the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network do not guarantee or warrant the accuracy of information in the broadcast to follow. The Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network provisions broadcast services to program hosts. Information discussed in the broadcast does not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or goals of the network and are solely those of the show broadcast host. Should you wish to host a broadcast, please visit our website at msmemedia.com and submit a request to become a program host. We thank you for listening to the MS&Me Radio Network. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Through My Eyes, A Life with MS. You are listening to Lauren Parrott on the MS&Me Radio Network. We are sponsored and powered by the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network 24/7 internationally. Today, I am going to talk about the difficulties that people have while trying to understand MS. First, I would like to talk about loved ones. There's three different types of people that I want to talk about, and there are some situations that I'm going to bring up. The first group that I want to talk about are your loved ones. My loved ones, they know the most about me. First of all, I have to start by saying that I am an incredibly lucky person, and I'm very aware of that. I have an extremely loving family who is there for me every step of the way. I am really close with my immediate family, and I also have an extended family that I am very close to, and I'm so fortunate. I'm very lucky, and I learn that more and more as I get older. So the people who know me the most are my mom and my brother. And that's because, and my dad too, but I live with my mom, and so she knows me more than anybody because I'm her daughter and her roommate, so she knows everything. And my brother, I see him very frequently, and so he knows a lot, and I share everything with him. Now, they know me the most because they see how living with MS affects me, both physically and mentally, and I feel really comfortable talking to them about it because they see it, because they know and they understand. And I'm really lucky because they're there for me every step of the way. And my extended family, I have several cousins, and they live all over Metro Detroit, and some live out of state too, but I see them, I see them frequently, but not every single day. And so we have a fond love for each other, and they're always there for me no matter what. But sometimes with my cousins and my other family members, they don't exactly know what to do because I don't live with them and I don't see them every day. So even though they love me very much and they're always there for me, they don't always know how to respond to certain situations. And it can be kind of frustrating for me and for them. And they don't know what to do for me, and I don't really know how to explain things to them, and nobody wants to hurt anybody's feelings, and it can be difficult. But once I tell them and once I talk to them, they they're amazing. They're awesome, and they love me, and I love them, and I'm so lucky, and I know that. One time we were going to different bars. I was with my cousins, and like we range in age from like 21 to 61, and we were going bar hopping, and my one cousin, she kept saying, "Lauren, come here, there's a chair. Lauren, come here, I saved a chair for you. Lauren, come here, here's a chair." And I wanted to be like, "Thank you, I appreciate it. I appreciate you looking out for me." But at the same time, I don't need a chair every single moment of every single day. So on a bar crawl, I didn't absolutely need a chair every time we went to a different bar, but she was trying to be helpful. So it's one of those weird situations where, it's like, "I love you, thank you, but I'm fine. Like, I'll tell you when I need something." It's so hard, because then I feel bad, like, "Oh my gosh, she's trying really hard to help me, but it's not exactly what I need." So that always kind of puts me in an awkward situation. But I am so lucky that I have family that care about me that much, and I'm aware of that. I know that, and I feel so lucky. But it can be difficult. And I also another group that I want to talk about are coworkers. First of all, I feel so incredibly fortunate that I'm able to have a job in general, because I know people who cannot. And there was a time where I couldn't. I went through my relapse and I couldn't work. It was over a year, and I couldn't leave my house. I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything. So believe me when I say that I understand how lucky I am, how fortunate I am that I can work at a job. But at the same time, a lot of times it's difficult for my coworkers too. And my coworkers are wonderful, but I really do feel bad a lot. I mean, not every single day, but it's difficult. And, like telling colleagues about my MS, it will help them understand why I do things the way that I do them, why I look drunk when I'm walking, why I bump into walls all the time, why I need to hold the handrails when I go up and down the stairs. It can be really difficult, and it's really hard too when I see the president of my company. He'll just stop and stare, kinda, not really, but he'll watch me kind of in a I can't think of the word, like he will try to analyze how I'm able to function, like almost like one time I was walking down the stairs, and these particular stairs are very narrow, and it's hard for everybody to walk down this staircase. And then when I was walking down that staircase, this was super difficult for me to do. And I noticed that he was watching the difficulty that I was having. So on one hand, I was like, "Oh my gosh, he's my boss. I don't want to get fired, But on the other hand, I was like, well, he's being sensitive, like I'm grateful that he can see that I'm having difficulty and I still have a job. And it can be really hard, though. It can be super hard when I'm watching other people watching me suffer. That's hard. That's really hard. And I want to tell you a story that just happened to me recently. So where I work, it's a house that was donated. It's a mansion actually that was donated to the community by a family in honor of war veterans. It was actually donated in honor of World War II veterans, but because that was a long time ago, now it's honored. Okay, it's honored to war veterans. Let's just say that. So we do a lot for our service members, which I love. I have family that are service members, and I am so grateful to everyone who has served our country. And so I love that about where I work. We have several different programs, and I love that, we do things for veterans, and that's awesome about where I work. But we were celebrating Veterans Day, which is always on November 11th, but because that was a Saturday this year, we did it on the 10th, the Friday, November 10th. And every year we have a breakfast, and it is free for veterans. And it's a beautiful ceremony. Oh my gosh, if you guys could see it, it is just beautiful. First of all, where I work, it's a beautiful mansion, and it's on the water, and it's decorated in red, white, and blue. It is so nice. And it's a really, really nice event, and they play the music for every different branch of the military. It's a beautiful service. So, and we had an amazing speaker this year too. So anyway, the breakfast, the doors open at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I had to be at work at 6:30 in the morning on Friday, November 10th. I'm sorry, Friday, November 10th. I had to be at work at 6:30 in the morning. Well, that's not that ultra early, because I usually I have to be at work at 9 o'clock every morning, but I get up at 6:30, around between 6 and 6:30 every day. And so it wasn't a huge change. It was just like a half hour earlier. I got up at like 5:30. And so it wasn't that dramatic, but I could not sleep the night before. And I think it's because, I didn't want to be late. I think I was excited about the program. It was different than my mundane everyday schedule, and I couldn't sleep the night before. So I get to work, and I was already, feeling my MS differently. And I told my coworkers right away. I said, oh my gosh, you guys, I could not sleep last night. I maybe got 2 hours of sleep. So there are a couple things. One of the things is aside from having a lack of sleep, I was also out of one of my medications that I take. I take Klonopin, which helps reduce my tremors that started when I had my relapse in 2007. So my tremors had increased. I had like no sleep, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it today. But I did the best that I could, and I am very honest, and I'm really open about my MS. I was on TV for 6 years, and I'm really open about it. I started making YouTube videos in, my God, 2007, so 10 years ago. And I'm really open about my MS. And so I told everybody I didn't sleep. I don't know how well I'm going to do today. Well, when nobody saw me, I was, after everybody had checked in, because one of my jobs was to greet everyone. So I had to stand by the door, and I would say, hey, good morning, happy Veterans Day, and it was also freezing cold. So I was like shivering and my tremors were increased, but everyone knows I have MS, so everyone in my community knows about it, and so everyone was like, oh, they didn't really say too much because they knew what to expect. Well, after everybody had signed in, I went and I got a seat in we have a ballroom, which is beautiful. It's right on the water, and I had to sit down because I had been standing for a while greeting people, and I chose to sit because my legs needed to rest. Well, when I went to sit down, I fell on the floor. I missed the chair. And it's one of those things where I don't know what happens because I can't feel it. I wish that it had been recorded so I could see what happens. I mean, I'm sure my body was so exhausted that my knees just buckled. My legs just gave out on me. So, and I'm used to that. I mean, that happens to me pretty often. So it's not unusual for me, but for other people who don't see me every single day, there were two men who were standing there in the ballroom and they were like, oh my God. And they were like trying not to laugh, but then I started laughing, and so they started laughing, and I said, well, you can at least help me up. So there were two men that helped me stand up, and then I finally sat down on the chair. But I was just so incredibly tired, and so it can be difficult, because my coworkers, they are wonderful because they can, they know where I'm coming from, and because I choose to be open about it, they're more understanding, and that's something that is unusual because normally I get enough rest and I'm fine at work, but it was kind of a funny story, but that's the thing that happened to me most recently. And so for me, I think it's important to be honest with your coworkers, and because they knew that I was extra tired, and I told them, I said, well, I'm so tired, my body isn't functioning as well, then they kind of know what to expect. So for me, it works. It's helpful all the way around. But the next group of people that I want to talk to are strangers. And like I said already, I've always been very open about talking about living with MS, and I've always been in the public eye because I've been on TV since I was 10 years old, and I had a TV show for 6 years, and I talked about it. I got interviewed a few times and I talked about it, and I'm really open. Plus, I've been making YouTube videos for a long time. So I think it all started because I was scared, and I thought, well, if I talk about my story, maybe I'll meet someone else in a similar situation and they can make me feel less scared. So that's how it started, and then it became something that I never would have expected, but it became something huge that I love, and we can all relate to each other, and the YouTube videos in my life have been wonderful, helpful, wonderful, all the way around. So it's been really helpful. So I don't mind sharing my life stories because it has helped me. And maybe if I was older when this happened, I would be different. Maybe I wouldn't share as much as I do now, because I know people who don't want to talk about it at all because it is embarrassing and it's not our faults. But I was just really young, and I said, well, it's not my fault that I got this condition. So I'm gonna, I might as well talk about it. I might as well share my story, because I know there are other people out there who are living with a similar situation. So, telling strangers, most people that know me, and if they know my last name, they're going to find out right away. They'll find out immediately, because I'm all over, the internet. You can look up Lauren Parrott, and you'll see, not only the videos I made, but other people have used my videos for other things. So, with strangers, I have no problem talking about it, because I always have. And I don't know what life would be like without living with multiple sclerosis. I was so young when it started that I don't remember what it was like before having MS. So I look at that as a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because, ignorance is bliss. It's like, well, I don't know, so I have nothing to compare it to, so I can stay positive about it. And I wanted to talk about my solution, because it is difficult. It is difficult for other people to understand MS. And I'm very aware of that. I am very, very aware of that. And I wanted to talk about my solution. And I have learned that for me, telling other people is helpful, because I can explain things to people so they understand. I can, like, for instance, when I fell that morning on Veterans Day, I could explain to the people, like, well, I have MS, I'm unbalanced, and my body is very tired, so that's why I fell. And most times people will say, oh my gosh, okay, do you need more help? Most of the time. And so that's why I'm public about it, because if you explain things to people, 9 times out of 10, they're willing to help you. And some people are more receptive to that, though. And some people are more receptive to try to empathize and understand where I'm coming from. Other people are judgmental, especially, I talked about this a little bit, but, I'm single, so dating people, and some people that I've gone out with are very judgmental, and they make assumptions, that as soon as you tell them that you have multiple sclerosis, they don't ever want to talk to you again. And it's easy for me to say now, because I'm like over it. So it's easy for me to say, like, well, forget, like, you're a loser, then forget it, I don't care. At the time when it happened, I was miserable and sad. But I kind of had to go through that situation to get to where I'm at now, because now I'm kind of like, okay, then please get out of my life. I don't need you, because I need somebody who's going to understand me, And I've also learned that some people are just mean. They're very mean, and because I trip and fall quite a bit, and I've done that before. When I was in grad school, I tripped. It was a rainy day, and I don't know if this affects you, but the humidity, like when it's kind of hot and humid and rainy, that's like the worst. It's my nemesis kind of weather. It's the worst for me. So I remember it was a horrible weather day, and I tripped and fell when I was walking to class, and these girls, they thought it was hilarious, and they started laughing, and they just kept walking. They didn't offer to help me or whatever. And there was another girl walking by, and she put her hand out, and she pulled me up, and she said, "Are you okay?" So people are different. And I just said to her, and I was crying, and I said, "Oh my God, thank you so much." And I told her, I said, I probably hugged her. I hug everybody that's nice to me. And I said, I have MS, and that's why I tripped. And I didn't say it to the girls who were laughing, and I probably should have. I think I should have. Nowadays, I have more confidence where I would say, "Excuse me, I tripped because I have multiple sclerosis." Nowadays, I have more confidence in doing that. At that time, I just sort of sat there for a minute and I just cried because I was really upset. But I've learned that it all depends on the person. Some people are mean. They are. Some people just are more mean-spirited than others. And I want to tell you the things that I have learned that works for me the best while living with multiple sclerosis. The first thing, I have to get enough sleep, for sure. Absolutely. Get enough sleep. The second thing, I have to eat relatively healthy. I'm not a health nut. I'm not on a special diet. I just know that I have to eat good food, like not eat too much. I never eat fast food. I don't eat, I shouldn't say never. I do every once in a while, but not regularly at all. So I try to eat relatively healthy. I should eat more fruits and vegetables, but I try my best. And I don't, the third thing is I don't drink too much in general because I have bladder issues. So I just don't drink too much liquid, whatever it may be. I just don't drink too much in general. Unless I'm at my house, I drink water like I'm a fish because I love water more than anything, and more than any other drink. So I will drink quite a bit of water when I'm alone at my house because I know the bathroom is right there. So I drink a lot of water. The fourth thing I do to live well while having multiple sclerosis is I keep a positive attitude. And it can be really hard on certain days. It can be incredibly hard. But I've learned that it's better to keep a positive attitude because that can only help you. So I try my very, very best to keep a positive attitude. And the fifth thing I do is I avoid people who bring me down. There are some people, like I said, some people are just more mean-spirited, some people are gossipy, and some people are judgmental. And I just try to avoid those people because I've learned that when I'm around them, it makes me feel worse about myself. So I try to avoid them. I try to stay with positive people, and I try to explain my difficulties while living with MS, and hopefully the people that I'm around are going to understand and they're willing to help me. So I hope that this was helpful, and I hope everyone is doing well, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.